river run, past even Adams, from swerve of shorter bend of bay, brings us by a commodious vicus of recirculation back to Houthcastle and environs. Sir Tristram, Viola d'Amours, frover the short sea, had Pass and Corey arrived from the North Armorica on this side the scraggy isthmus of Europe Minor to wheel to fight his peninsula war, nor had tops or ears rocks by the stream Oconee exaggerated Thames else to Lawrence counties gorgeous while they went Dublin their mumper all the time, nor a voice from a fire bellows Mr. Torf thwart Petrick, not yet, though Venice soon after had a kid's kid buttoned at a bland old Isaac, not yet, though all's fair in Vanity, were so ceaseth wroth with Twone Nath and Joe. Rot a peck of Par's malt had gem or shen brewed by Arclight and Rory enter the Regin brow was to be seen ringsome on the aqua face. The fall, Bidligarag to Cameron Conbronton on Chuonth Treverhan on scorn to Horden Enthanuk. Of a once well straight Oldbury's retailed early in bed and later on life down through all Christian minstrelsy. The great fall of the F-wall entailed at such short notice the shoot of Finnegan, a solid man, that the hump-to-hill head of Humself promptly sends an unquerying one well to the west in quest of his hump-to-tum toes, and their upturn pick a point and places at the knockout in the park where oranges have been laid to rust upon the green since Devlin's first loved Livy. What clashes here of wills gen won'ts, oystrigods gaggin fishergods, breakek cakek cakek cakek, coax, ualu. Quaoa, where the Bedelery's partisans are still out to Master Malachus McGrains and the Verdants catapulting the cannibalistics out of the water boys of Hoodie Head, Assigats and Boomeringstrums, Sod's Brood, Beamy Fear, Sanglorians, Save, Arms Appeal with Larms, Appalling. Killikilkily, atoll, what chance catalyze, what casuals airborne ventilated, what bidder metaluf sindus by what egatet absolvers, what true feeling for theirs here with what strong voice of false Jacob, though hear how Hothsproul met the dusk the father of fornicationists but, O my shining stars and body, how hath finesse and most high heaven the sky sin of soft advertisement, but was eyes, eye suit, air were sewers, the oaks of old now they lie in peat yet elms leap where asks lay, fall if you but will, rise you must. And none so soon either shall the farce for the nuns come to a settled down secular phonish. By Mester Finnegan, of the stuttering hand, free men's Mora, lived in the broadest way imaginable in his rushlet too far back for Meswidgers before Joshua and Judges had given us numbers or Helviticus committed Deuteronomy. One yeasty day he sternly struck his tet in a tub for to watch the future of his fates, but ere he swiftly stuck it out again, by the might of Moses, the very water was evaporated and all the Guneses had met their exodus, so that ought to show you what a pinch banjitchy chap he was. And during mighty odd years this man of Hod, cement and edifices in topers Thorpe piled buildung super buildung pon the banks for the livers by the stone so. He had little Fifi Annie ugged the little crather, with a hair in Hans tuck up your part in her, Otwile balbulus, Mithra head, with a goodly trowling grasp and ivory-iled overalls which he habitacularly fancied, like Caroon Childeric Eggerbirth he would collegialate by multiplicab, lethe altitude and multitude until he seesaw by neat light of the liquor where twin twas born. His round head staple of other days to rise in undress masonry upstandard, joy grant it, a while worth of a sky escape of most of full hoith entirely, originating from next to nothing and celescalating the himmels and all, he architected to the ploftical, with a burning bush abob off its bauble top and with lerons o'toolas clittering up and tumbles a buckets clottering down. Of the first was he to bear arms and a name, were Sally Boosliu of Resengeborg, his crest of heraldry, invert with ancillars, troublant, argent, a hegoak, pursuivant, horrid, horned, his scutcheon fest, with archers strung, Helio, of the second, which is for husbandman handling his hoe, ha 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 ho, Mr. Finn, you're going to be Mr. Finn again, combed a moormand, oh, your vine, send a zevand, ah, your vinegar, ha 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 ha. Mr. Fun, you're going to be fined again. What then agent light brought about that tragedy Thursday this municipal sin business? Our cube house still rocks as ear witness to the thunder of his Eraphatus, but we hear also through successive ages that shabby choralish of uncalified misalnymi isola hymns that would blackguardize the white stone ever heard that hurtled out of heaven. Stay us wherefore in our search for titiousness, O sustainer, what time we rise and when we take up to toothpick and before we lump down upon hourly third and in the night and at the fading of the stars. For a nod to the nabber is better than wink to the wabsanti. Of the ways where sways like that provost scoffing bed our e'en the Jedble and the Jpision sea. Crawford the Crunchbroken shall decide. Then we'll know if the feast is a fly day. She has a gift of seek on sight and she'll casually answers helpers, the dromedary. He'd, it may half been a misfired brick, as some say, or it might have been due to a collapsus of his back promises, as others looked at it. There extant by now 1001 stories, all told, of the same, but so sordid they bite Ivy's hollow dabbles, what with the Hall's horrors of Rolls rights, car hacks, stonengines, kissed veins, tram trees, fagaballers, autokinetants, hippohobblies, street fleets, torn taxes, megafogs, circuses and wards moats and basilicurks and aeropagods and the hoers and the jollabrule and the peeler in the coat and the Mecklenburg bitch bite at his ear and the Merlenburg and his 4 old poor courts, the boar the moor, and his blight black working stacks at 12 a pins a dozen in the new bibuses slading along Safety First Street and the Derra Jellybees snooping around hell no, tailor's corner and the fumes and the hopes and the stupor thump of his ville's indigenous Roma keepers, home sweepers, Doma creepers, theorem and theorem infansum admurum and all the uproar from all the orfroofs. A roof for May and a reef for Hubert under his bridge suits Tony. One warning filt tippling full. His Hadfield heavy, his hod it did shake. There was a wall of course in erection. Dim, he stuttered from the latter. Damn he was dud. Dumb, mastabatum, masturbatum. When a Monday marries his loot is all long. For whole the world to see. Shies, I should she. McCool, or a YDDD I of a trying Thursday morning. Sobs they sided at Philagane's Chrysormis wake. All the hooligans of the nation, prostrated in their consternation and their duodecimally profusive plethora of ululation. There was plums and grooms and sheriffs and citharers and raiders and signmen too, and they all joined in with the shout most joviality. Agog and Magog and the round of the Magrog, to the continuation of that celebration until Han and Hunigan's extermination. Some in kink in chorus, more, cank and keening, belling him up and filling him down. He's stiff but he's steady as Priamo Leam. Twice he was the dascent galabring youth. Sharpen his pillow scone, tap up his beer. Where in this world would ye hear such a din again, with their deep brow fundigs and the dusty Fidelius? They laid him broad on a langless bed, with a bocklips of Finisky for his feet, and a barrow load of Gunasis o'er his head. The tootle of the fluid hanged the twaddle of the fuddled. Oh, hurrah! There is but young leave for the owl globe wheels in view, which is tautologically the same thing. Well, him a being so on the flounder of his bulk like an overgrown babeling, let we peep, see, at home, well, CPG ought he ought, platyplut, from Shopolis to Bailiwick or from Ashton to Berenoth or from Booth Banks to round the head or from the foot of the bill to Iroglin's he calmly extends soles, and all the way, a horn, from fjord to fjell his bay winds of oboes shall wail him rock-bound, ho ho ho. In swims Whelmswim and all the livelong night, the Deldaled Alpling night, the night of blue rebels, her flitter flute in tricky trochees. O Carina, wake him, with her Isovans and her Patterjack Martins about all the mins and dancers, tilling a teal of a tum, telling a toll of a tibri turty tortling, grace before glutton, for what we are, gifs are gross if we are, about to believe, so pull the beg and pass the kish for cross sake, O men, so Silas, Grampupus is fallen down but Grinny spreads the board, whereas on the joint of a dash, Finfo from the funch, whilst be his bacon head, a loaf of Singpin tries Kennedy bread, and whilst hitched to the hop in his tail, a glass of the Udinel's famous oldie Dombalin ale. But, lo, as you would quaff of his fraud stuff and sink teeth through that pith of a flow, white beardy behold of him as behemoth, for he is no wimo, finish. only a photograph of a yestern scene, almost Rubicon Samosala, ancient from out the ages of the Agapemonides. He is smolten in our mist, woebegone and packed away, so that meals dead off for summon, sklook, sklice and good adhering. Yet may we not see still the brontoiched iron form outlined as slumbered, even in our own night time by the sedge of the troutling stream that Bronto loved and Bronto has a lean on. Hic cubat edilis, apud libertinum parvulum. What if she be in flags or flutters, reeky rags or sunder choses, with a mint of mines or beggar a pennyweight? Ara, sure, we all love little Annie Rooney, or, we mean to say, love little Anne Rainey, when under her brella, mid-piddle med-puddle, she goes nancing by, yo, Bront alone slaps, yo snores, upon Ben Heather, in Sepalisert too, the cranach head on him, caster of his reasons, peer Yathna in yon mist, whoth, his clay feet, swarded in verdigris, stick up struck where he last fell in 'em, by the mund of the magazine wall, where our Maggie seen all, with her sister in shawl, while over against this Bell's alliance behind Il-60, a lollowed ill-bag sides of the fort, bomb, terabum, lurk the ambushes, the sight of the lifting in weight of the upjock and hockums. Hence when the clouds roll by, Jamie, a proud sea view is enjoyable of our moundings mass, now Wallenstone National Museum, with, in some greenish distance, the charmful waterless country and the two Quitulite villagettes who here showeth themselves so jigglesomes minxed the foliages, the preterlies. Penetrators are permitted into the museum Mountfree, Welsh and the Paddy Patkinses, one Shellenk, redismembers invalids of old guard find pals Seabram to sate the sort of their but, for her pasky supply to the janitrix, the mistress Cath, tip, this the way to the musee room. Mind your hat's gone in. Now yez are in the Willingdone Musee room. This is a Prussius gun. This is a French tip. This is the flag of the Prussius, the cap and saw racer. This is the bullet that bing the flag of the Prussius. This is the French that fire on the bull that bang the flag of the Prussius. Salus the crossgun, up with your pike and fork, tip, bull's foot, fine. This is the Tripluan hat of Lipalium, tip, Lipalum hat. This is the Willingdone on his same white horse, the Cockenhape. This is the big Slaughter Willingdone, grand and magentic in his golden spurs and his iron ducks and his quarterbrass woodishoes and his magnate's garters and his Bangkok's best and Gollier's golodges and his Peluponi sign watrayus. This is his big wide horse, tip. This is the three Lipalium boin grouching down in the living ditch. This is an Inimus killing Ingalls. This is a Scotcher Grey. This is a Davy, stooping. This is the bog Lipalium ordering the Lipalium beg, a Galorga's argument. This is the petty Lipalium boy that was neither bag nor bug, a say. tout Holfits to a mush dirty MacDyke, and Harry O'Hurry, all of them ominous verminous. This is the Lion Alps. This is Montival. This is Montipsy. This is the Grand Monsingin. This is the creamy line of the Alps hooping to shelter shock the three Lipaliums. This is the Ginnies with their Leghorns fainting to read in their handmaid's book of astrology while making their war undecides the Willingdone. The Ginnies is a coo in her hand and the Ginnies is a rab in her hair and the Willingdone jit the band up. This is Big Willingdone Memorial tallow scoop wound a wicker obsides on the flanks of the Ginnies. Excalibur horsepower. Tip. This is me Belgium sneaking his Philippi out of his most awful grimmest sunshot Cromwelly. Looted. This is the Ginnies Hastings dispatch for to irrigate the Willingdone. Dispatch in thin red lines cross the short front of me Belgium. Your leaper author, fear-seeking, field jays thy tiny fro, hug acting, nap, that was the tic-tacs of the Ginnies for to Fontanoy the Willingdone. She. The Ginnies is jealous a jing-courting all the Lipaliums, and the Lipaliums is gone boycott on crazy onto the one Willingdone, and the Willingdone jit the band up. This is Bode Belgium, bonnet to Busby, breaking his second word with a ball up his ear to the Willingdone. This is the Willingdone's hero dispatch back. Dispatched exploit on the region's rear of me Belgium. Salamangra. Cherry Ginnies. Fig tree isle out. Damn fairy Anne, Wouter. Willingdone. That was the first joke of Willingdone. Tick for tack. He. This is me Belgium in his 12-mile couchhooks, wheat, tweet and stamp forth foremost, footing the camp for the Ginnies. Drink a sip, drank a sup, for he's as sooner buy a Guinness than he'd stale or stout. This is Rucius Balls. This is a trench. This is Miss Letroops. This is Canon Felter with the Poppinos, after his 100 days indulgence. This is the blessed Tara's Widders. This is Ginnies in the bonny born bluchers. This is Lipaliums in the rowdy houses. This is the Willingdone, by the splinters of cork. Order fire. Tunner, bulls here. Play. This is camelry. This is fludence. This is the Solferines in action. This is their mobbily. This is panic burns. Almeid. Arthur's Toulouse. This is Willingdone cry. Brum, cumbrum. This is Ginny's cry. Underwetter. Goat strip finlums. This is Ginnies rinning away to their Austerlists down a bunker shields, with a nip-nippy nip and a trip-trippy trip so airy, for their hearts right there. Tip. This is me Belgium's tink-out silver plate for sitchin' the crepes in the cool of his canister. Pour the pay. This is the Bismarck of the Marathon Merry of the Ginnies they left behind them. This is the Willingdone Branlish his same memorial tallow scoop Sophie Keepo for his royal devotion on the runaway Ginnies. Gamberis della Porca, Delaverus Femirus. This is the pettiest of the Lipaliums, toffee thief. that spy on the Willingdon from his big white house. The Capeen Hope, Stonewall Willingdon is an old maxim on Trumany. Lipperliams is nice hung bushellers. This is Hina Hinnessy laughing aloud at the Willingdon. This is Lipsig Dooley creeging the funk from the Hinnessy. This is the Hindu shimmershin between the Dooley boy and the Hinnessy. Tip. This is the Wixie old Willingdon picket up the half of the three-filed hat of Lipperliams from out of the bloodal filth. This is the Hindu waxing ranjamad for a bomb shoob. This is the Willingdon hanking the half of the hat of Lipperliams up the tail on the buckside of his big white horse. Tip. That was the last joke of the Willingdon. Hit, hit, hit. This is the same white horse of the Willingdon. Culp and help, waggling his tail up with the half of a hat of Lipperliams to insult on the Hindu seaboard. Honey, honey, honey. Bullstrag, foul. This is the sea boy. Madrashaterus, up jump and pump him. Cry to the Willingdon, Agpuckaroo, Pucker Europe. This is the Willingdon, Barnstable gentleman. Tinders his max botch to the Kersigan shimmershin. Bassaka yousted. This is the do for him sea boy blow the whole of the half of the hat of Lipperliams off of the top of the tail on the back of his big wide horse. Tip. Pulsey. Game. How Copenhagen ended. This way the Musi room. Mind your boots gone out. Phew. What a warm time we were in there, but how culling is here the airabouts. We know where she lives, but you mustn't tell an aeon for the lamp of Jiggerlanthorn. It's a candler little house of a month and one windies. Down a down, high down a down, and numb me at quaint lamine, and such reasonable weather too. The War Grant winds waltz around the Piltdowns and on every blasted knoll rock. If you can spot 50 I spy 4 more. There's that Nalibody gathering, Aruna little, Do little, Priya little, Pertra little, Whippy little, Kicks a little, Sivera little, Eat a little, Winnie little, Ken a little, Helf a little, Pelf a little Nalibod, a veritable land of bleak barred fields. Under his 7 Rothschilds lies one, Lumpraw, his glav toss-eyed him, Scud on toast. Our pigeons pair are flown for North Cliffs. The 3 of crows have flagged it southernly, cracking of debacle to the quarters of that sky whence tributes answer, wail. 'Tis well. She neither comes out went-ons on shower or went-ons flashed with his Nixie girls or went-ons blowing tomb cracks down the gales of Ton. No no, nebulous on you live. Her would be too moved she afreet. Of Bilrimaleg and Bindmrollinges and all the deed in the woe. Fo form. She just does hopes till buys will be buys. Here, and it goes on to appear now, she comes, a piece of faggle, a paradise bird, a peary pot mother, a pringle pick in the island skippy, with peewee and powwows in beggy on her bicky and a flick flask fleck flinging its picks a lighting pacts who maramabos, picking here, pecking there, gussipissy plunderpissy, but it's the armatides too nigh, militapucus, And to morn we wish for a muddy kissmans to the minutiae workers, and there's to be a gorgeous truce for happiness chilled wherever we're. Come Nebor, me and Suzo sing the day we celebrate. She's borrowed the coach's headlight the better to pry. Who goes cute goes cycle and shoes around, and all spoiled goods go into her knapsack. Cartridges and rattling buttons, nappy spitties and flasks of all nations, clavicures and scampulas, maps, keys and wood piles of halfpennies and moonlit brooches with blood-stained breeks in Boston night gutters and masses of showsets and nickelly knacks and fodral Mitchell and a luggily parson of cates and howitzer much ears and midges and maggots. Ills and ells with lofts of toffs and plaws of bells and the last sigh that come fro the heart, buckled, and the fairest in the sun saw, that's Claire Dart, with kiss, kiss Chris, cross Chris, kiss cross, undo life's end, slain. How beautiful and how true to wife of her, when strangely forbidden to steal our historic presents from the past post-prophetical so as to will make us all lordy heirs and ladder maidesses of a pretty nice kettle of fruit. She is living in our midst of debt and laughing through all plauds for us. Her birth is uncontrollable, with an apron for her mask and her abos kick in our ears. So say so solly, if yours ask me and I sark you. Hood, Gricks may rise and choices fall, there being two sights forever a picture, for in the byways of high improvidence that's what makes life worth leaving, and the world's the self it is to sit in. Let young women run away with the story and let young men talk smooth behind the butler's back. She knows her night's duty while Luntum sleeps. Did ye save any tin, says he. Did I, what, with a grin, says she. And we all like a Meriden because she is mercenary. Though the length of the land lies under liquidation, flute, and there's ne'er a hair brown or an eye bush on this glaw. Brass face of hair shoved water Walter shield lona vesta and hire some peat and such the shores her cockles to heat, and she'll do all a turf woman can to piff the business on. Paff, to puff the blaziness on. Poff poff. And even if Humpty shall fall frumpty times as awkward again in the bed spoosaloom of all our grand remonstrances, there'll be eggs for the breakers come to mourn him, sunny side up with care. So true is it that there wears a turn over the tay is wet too, and when you think you catch sight of a hand, make sure but you're cocked by a hin. Then as she is on her behaviour, you right job of quainance bandy, fruiting for firstlings and taking her tithe. We may take our review of the 2 mounds to see nothing of the himbles here as at elsewhere, by 6s and 7s, like so many he Gills and Collins, sitten erund, St. Breached and Sumpatreek, in their swish-a-wish satins and their taff-a-taff tights, playing Wharton's Folly, at a tree-putty on the planko in the perk. Stand up, Micus, make straight for Minas. By order, Nicholas Proud. We may see and hear nothing if we choose of the short-legged Burgins off Call Hill or the Burger Moors of Arbor Hill or the Burger Gambles of Summer Hill or the Burgin Sellies of Misera Hill or the country. Bost burgones of Constitution Hill, though every crowd has its several tones and every trade has its clever mechanics and each harmonical has a point of its own. Olaf's on the rise and Ivor's on the lift and Citrix places between them. But all they are all there scraping along to sneeze out a likelihood that will solve and salve life's robulus rebus, hopping round his middle like kippers on a griddle. Oh, as he lays dormant from the macroborg of Holdhead to the microberg of Piedy Powdra, behove this sound of Irish sense, really. Here English might be seen, royally, one sovereign punt to Petery pence, regally, the silence speaks the scene. Fake, so this is Diablong. Hush, caution, Edgeland, how charmingly exquisite. It reminds you of the outwash engravier that we used to be blurring on the blotch wall of his unkempt house. Used they? I am sure that tiring Chebelcheval there with the musical chocolate box, Myrie Mitchell, is listening. I say, the remains of the outworn Gravamure where used to be blurry the Tolmans of the incubus. Used we? He is only pretendant to be stugging at the Jubilee harp from a second existed listener, fiery farrily, it is well known. Lock for himself and see the old Butte New, DBLN. WKOO here, by the Mausoleum wall, fim, with a grand fun for all. Fum, 'tis optophone which ontophanes, list, Wheatstone's magic lyre, they will be tugging for Ivor, they will be likening for Aleph, they will be pretumbling for Over. The harp's dishord shall be theirs for Olaves. Four things therefore, saith our hereditary Mammon Lugius in his grand old Historiarum, wrote near Barirum, bluest book in Balor's annals. Ft in Difinisci nears all fail till heath a smoke and cloud we dare as isles all Paul. And here now they are. The fear of Titatis, Unum, Ada, a Bulbenbus surmounted up on an alderman, a Duum, Nizam, a shoe on a poor old wobbin, ho, Trium, Tamaz, an organ maid, O'Brien a bride, to be deserted, a dear, Quadlibus, Mark Esvan, a Pennoatian or a polypost, and so, and all, Succus, so, how idlers win turning pages on pages, as innocents with an eclete play Popeye antipop, the leaves of the living in the book of the deeds, annals of themselves timing the cycles of events grand and national, bring facile-wise to pass how 1132 AD men like to answer Emmett's wonder upon a growth wide Walfisk which lay in a runnel. Blubby wears a Patablanium 566 AD on Balfire's night of this year after deluge a crone that had a wicked kish for to hail dead tunes from the bog look it under the blay of her kish as she run for to sothis feature her count. Riacity and beamy all but she found hersel sack full of swart goody quick and shoon and small elegant brogues, so rich in sweat, blurry works at herdless ford, silent, 566 AD. At this time it fell out that a brazen-locked damsel grieved, so Brasilas, because that perpet Herminian was ravished of her by the ogre Puropius Pius. Bloody wars in Bali or Akli and Bali 1132. AD. 2 sons at Anar were born unto a goodman and his hag. These sons called themselves Caddy and Primus. Primus was a santryman and drilled all decent people. Caddy went to winehouse and wrote a piece of farce. Blotty words for Dublin. Somewhere, apparently, in the Jananjo gap between Antediluvius and Nedominant, the copyist must have fled with his scroll. The Billy Flood Rose Oronel charged him or the Sultrup world right from the exulsissimos empyrean bolt. In some, earth spake all the animan gallus bank pan the bliddy do ran. A scrib aside then and there is led off under old's code with some fine covered by 6 marks or 9 pins in metalman for the sake of his labours dross, while it will be only now and again in our era, as an upshoot of military and civil engagements, that a ginocure was let onto the scaffold for taking that same fine sum covertly by meddlement with the drawers of his neighbour's safe. Now after all that far-fetched and peregrine ordinant or clear lift we our ears, eyes of the darkness, from the tomb of Liber Levidus and Tog, how apaisably irenical, aldermering dunes and glomering glades, self-stretches afore us our freeland's plain, leaneath stone pine the pastor lies with his crook, young pricket by pricket's sister Nibblethorn returned viridities, amade her rocking grasses the herb trinity shams lowliness, sky up is of evergrey, thus, too, for donkey's years, since the bouts of Heber and Herriman the cornflowers have been staying at Ballymun. The dusk rose has choosed out goat spawns hedges, trollops have pressed Togath them by sweet rush, townland of twin headlights. The whitethorn and the redthorn have ferrigied the May valleys of Knockmaroon, and, though fourings round them, during a Kiliad of periheligangs, the Formarians have brittled the tuath of the Danes and the Oxman has been pestered by the fire. Bugs in the joints have thrown up jerry building to the Kevin says and little on the green is child's father to the city, and Lord hears. These pack-sealing buttonholes have quadrilled across the centuries and whiff now waft to us, fresh and made of all smiles as, on the eve of Kilalho, the babblers with their Angus vein have been, Confusium hold them, they were and went, thigging thugs were and who and him songtums were and comely noctuals were and polyphilphilances. Men have thought, clerks have hummed, the blonde has sought of the brune, Elsa kiss thou may, mean Kerry piggy, and the Dunkler dames have countered with the hellish fellows, who ails Tuncodo, aspes of Dumbilsily, and they fell upon one another, and themselves they have fallen, and still now nights and by nights of yore do all bold floras of the field to their shifen lovers say only, cull me ere I will to thee, and, but a little later, pluck me whilst I blush, well may they wilt, marry, and profusely blush, betroth. For that saying is as old as the Howits. Lave a whaler while in a wheelbarrow, isn't it the truth I'm tellin' ye? To have fins and flippers that shimmy and shake. Tim Timmican Tim Tim, tam ting tam, flippity, flippity, fleepow, hop. In the name of Annam this cull on the copy and pelted thongs a path alone who the Joe bigger be he. Forshapen his pig-made hogshead, shrunk his plod's foot, he hath locked toes, this short shins, and a beard that's pectoral, his mammascles most mysterious. It is slaking nuncheon out of something's brain pan. Me seem of the dragon man. He is almonst on the keep fifa by here. Is comestible Saxon, be it Juniper or February, Merricks or Alabril or the ramping riots of Perios and Florios. What it were hair sort of a man. It is evident the Michindady. Let's we overstep his fire defences and these kraals of slit-sucked merrick bones, cave. He can perhaps posture us the pillory way to Hercules pillar. Come on, fool porterful, hoseared women blown monks were. Excuse us, Chorley guy, you Tolade Donsk, Utokatif Skowegen, NN, you Spaghetti and Glaze, NNN, Euphonio Saxo. NNNN. Clear also. 'Tis a jute. Let us swap hats and excheck a few strong verbs we go chiatha yap iazadabas the bluty creeks. Jute. Utah. Mut. Mux pleasured. Jute. Are you Jeff? Mut. Sumheads. Jute. But you are not Jeff Mute. Mut. No ho. Only an utterer. Jute. Woe. Ho 'tis the mutter with you. Mut. I became a stummer. Jute. What a horrible thing. To be cause. How. Mut. Mut. Up at the buttle. Cert. Jute. Whose poddle, wherein, mut, the inns of dunked halfway used ought to be he, jute, you that side your voice are almost inedible to me, become a bit skin more wiseable, as if I were you, mut, has at, hesitancy, buhoru, boru usurp. I trample from wrath in mine minds when I remember him, jute, one eye gone black, bisons is bisons, let me for all your hesitancy cross your qualm with drink guilt, here have sylvan coin, a piece of oak, guineas high's good for you, mut, lowie, lowie. How wouldn't I not know it? The intelligible great cloak of Cedric silky shag, said mealy faulty rices for one dablin bar. Old Grillsy, he was poached on in that tentacle spot. Here where the liveries, Marnamark, there where the misfares Munny, Minnakin Passe, Jute. Simply because as Taciturn pretells, our wrong story shortener, he dumptied the whole borough of rubber jazz onto soil here. Mut, just how a pudding stone in at the Bruxelles by a river pool, jute, low dalmashi, widwad for an horse like, mut, somula with a bull on a clomp turf. Rux rorum rex rom, I could snort a hymn of the spumy horn, with his woolsily side in, by the neck I am Sutton on. Did Brian D. of Lynn, jute, boiled oil and rahony on me when I can be really forced and a weird from Stirk to Finnick in such a pat what as your returdum retur, on heard of an scene, gut after meal. See you doomed, mutt, quite a gream. Bus ava sec. Walker done blinked round with this albutial and you skull see how old ye plain of my elders, Humphrey and ours, where won't a whale ha wimbrel to peewee o'er the saltings, where will be city by law of Iceman, where by a droid of scenery, ice flow was from his in the bibning to whose finish they plunked. Let error him rumor, may emerge two races, sweet and brack, mothering rue, hither, crouching eastwards, they are insurgents, hence, cool at it, they requiesce. Countlessness of live stories have ne third fallen by this plage, flickers flow flakes, litters from aloft, like a vast wizard all of whirlwhirls, now are all tombed to the mound, icegers to icegers, erd from erd. Pride, O pride, thy prize, jute, stench, mutt, fared foot, here in underlithy, large by the smell in every night life also strange. Babylon the great grand huddled with tittle house, Alpon Earwig, Druck non-isled, like a sequel to Anaquil in this sound symmetry which Isley bears love, jute, smord, mutt, meld and allies, by the first wave behelted, Deb's ponds sung, and an ancestrous mound have swallowed them all. This auth of years is not save brick dust and being humus the same returns. He who runes may read it on all fours. Vauxhall, Enwauxhall, Druxall, crumbling. Sell me sooth the fair for humblin. Bloody fair, but speak it also swiftly. Moulder, be in your wished, jute. Wished, mutt, the giant forficules with Amni the Fay, jute, how, mutt, here is Viskingsgrad, jute, wad, mutt, or you are stone-aged, jute you, jute, I am thorn Thorstrock, thing mud, stoop, if you are ABCED minded, to this clay book. What curios of signs, please stoop, in this alphabet, can you read, since we and thou had it out already, its world, it is the same told of all, many, miscegenations on miscegenations, Teakle, they lived and laughed and loved and left, forsin. Thy thing dome is given to the Medes and Porsons, the mean detail, a loss and again, of our old Heathenburg in the days when head in clouds walked the earth, in the ignorance that implies impression that knits knowledge that finds the name from that wets the wits that convey contacts that sweeten sensation that drives desire that adheres to attachment that dogs death that bitches birth that tails the insuance of existentiality. But with a rush out of his navel reaching the reared os of Ramaspatham, a Terriculus vividly on view this, queer and it continues to be quacky, a hatch, a Celt, a Nearsha the poor close of which was to casse the earth crust at all of ours, furrowards, bagwards, like the oxen at the turnpit. Here say figurines bellicose arming and mounting, mounting and arming bellicose figurines see here. Favthork, this leffing is for a fire thing called a flint for fall. Face at the east, oh I fay, face at the waist, ho, you fi, up warp and dump f, ace f, ace. When apart so he does duty for the hollis we soon grow to use of an owl for a bit. Here, please to stoop, our silver and cute petit peas of quite a peculiar interest in as little as they are the pellets that make the Tomtomies payroll. Right rank Ragnaroks, and with these rocks Orangatangus wrangled rough and right Garong. Wisher, why did the thick is for thorn that stuck in its thoil like thumbfuls throughout a thrust for vengeance. What a nice oldness it all makes. A midden-hide hoard of objects, olives, beets, Kimmels, Dollies, Alfreds, Beaties, Cormacs and Daltons, Violet's eggs, oh stoop to please, are here, creakish from age and all now quite epsiline, and old worldy wobblewers, Hordworth a wide bow grass, SSS, see the snake worms every side. Our Derlbean is swarming in sneaks. They came to our island from triangular Touchy to be on the wet prairie reared up in the midst of the cargan of prohibitive gummerfructs, but a long-landed paddy whip. Pingham and the Hisgard badger can scotch the creeps of them pricker than our hossa theer out of 'em and could quick up her what's that's. Some divide and some fillet, but the tally turns round the same Balifusson. Racketeers and bottlegers, axe on thrax, axe and wise. One by one place one be three ditto and one before. Two nurses one make a plausible free and item behind. Starting off with a big boboa and three-legged calvers and Iver-grained judesses with a message in their mouths, and 100 filled unleavened weight of librorum quoticon, and we can till Alhora's eve. What a mean earthful tale to unfurl, and with what an end in view of squatter and anti-squatter and post-prononti-squatter. To say to us to be every Tim, Nick and Larry of us, sons of the sod, sons, little listens, yea and little sons, when us is not to be, every Sue, Sis and Sally of us, Dougtas of Nan, accusative and sire. Damnedum to infinity's true, there was in Nilod's diabus as yet no lumpen papier in the waste, and might mountain pen still groan for the misses to let flee. All was of ancientry. You gave me a boot, signs on it, and I ate the wind. I quizzed you a quid, with for what, and you went to the quad. But the world, mind, is, was and will be writing its own runes forever, man, on all matters that fall under the ban of our infrarational senses. For the last milch camel, the heart vein throbbing between his eyebrows, has still to move before the tomb of his cousin Carmen, where his date is tethered by the palm that's hers. But the horn, the drinking, the day of dread are not now. A bone, a pebble, a ramskin, chip them, chap them, cut them up always, leave them to terror cook in the muttering pit. and Guten Morgen with his Cro-Magnon charter, tinting first and great primer must once for omnibus step rub. Recruit out of the word Paracelsus is there no virtue more in alcoholen. For that, the rapt one warns, is what Papa is made of, hides and hints and misses in prints, till he finally, though not yet end-like, meet with the acquaintance of Mr. Typus, Mistress Tope and all the little type topies, filched up, so you need hardly spell me how every word will be bound over to carry 70 optipsical readings throughout the Book of Dublin's giant. May his forehead be darkened with mud who would sunder, till Daleth, Mahama, who oped it closeth thereof the door, cry not yet. There's many a smile to Nondam, with city maids per man, sir, and the parks so dark by kindlerlight. But look what you have in your hands, elf. The movables are scrawling in motions, marching, all of them ago, in pit-put sings ang for every busy eerie wig's a bit of a Torah tale to tell. One's upon a time and two's behind their lettuce leap and three's among the strubbly beds, and the chicks picked their teeths and the donkey he began. You can ask your ass if he believes it, and so Cuddy me only wallops have heels, that one of a wife with faulty barnets, for then was the age when hoops run high, of an ark and a chop wife, of a poem full grave and a family of levity, or of golden youths that wanted gelding, or of what the mischief mismade a man do. Malmarided he was reverso gas by the frisk of her frasks and her pretty peak. May fade, she's low gay this snaky woman, from that trippery to expect hung pelic, veil, Valentine eyes. She's the very best Winnie blows nay on good, flowen, floan, haw. So it's sure it was her not we, but lay it easy, gentle mean, we're in rearing of an Oruig, so we na bini vinatini, com cc, het was if newt, listen, I am doing it, hark, the corn entreats, and the loud notes prittle. It was of a night, late, lang time ago, in an old stain eld, when Adam was delving and his madam means spinning water silts, when Mulk Mountainotti man was ever a bully and the first leal reberber that ever had her ain way everybody to his love-saking eyes and everybody lived a love with everybody else. And Jarl Van Hoother had his burned head high up in his lamp house, laying cold hands on himself, and his two little Jiminis, cousins of Ern, Christopher and Hilary, were kick-heeling their dummy on the oilcloth floor of his Homery, castle and earthen house, and, B. Dermot, who come to the keep of his inn only the niece of his in-law, the Pranquian, and the Pranquian pulled a rosy one and made her wit forninst the door, and she lit up and fireland was ablaze, and spoke she to the door in her petty Perusian, mark the words, why do I am a looker like a posse of porter-peas. And that was how the skirt mishes began. but that her hand would her grace in Duch Nossau shut. So her grace malice kid snapped up the Jiminy Christopher and into the and I western as she rain, and Jarl Van Who the war lest after her with softer vesgall. Stop Eve stop come back to my Erin stop. But she swiradded to him, unlikelihood. And there was a brand new ale that same Sabbath night of falling angles somewhere in Erio, and the Pranquin went for her 40 years walk in Chulaman, and she washed the blessings of the love spots off the Jiminy with soap saliva saddles, and she had her 4 hours masters for to torch him his tickles, and she ted him to the honor all good, and he became a luderman. So then she started to rain and be rid Tom. She was back again at Jarl Van Hoother's in a brace of samers in the Jiminy with her in her pinafriend, lace at night, at another time. And where did she come but to the bar of his Bristolry? And Jarl von Hoother had his bane Tholobrov's heels round in his cellar mould, shaking warm hands with himself, and the Jiminy Hillary and the dummy in their first infancy were below on the tear sheet, ringing and coughing, like Brodder and Histher. And the Pranquin nipped a paley one and lit up again, and red cocks flew flack airing from the hillcombs. And she made her wittiber for the wicked, saying, Mark the twy, why do I am a looker like 2 posse of porter piece? And, shut says the wicked, handwarding her majesty. So her majesty of forethought set down a Jiminy and took up a Jiminy, and all the lily pathways to Oman's land she rain, and Jarl von Hoother bleated at her with a loud Finnegale, Stop Dom stop, come back with my earrings stop. But the Pranquians were added, am liking it. And there was a wild old Grenew ale that Lawrencey night of star shittings somewhere in Erio, and the Pranquin went for her 40 years walk in Turnlemy man. She punched the curses of Cromcruel with the nail of a top into the Jiminy, and she had her 4 larksical monatrix to touch him his tears, and she provauted him to the Anesitan al-Secure, and he became a Christian. So then she started raining, and in a pair of changers, be dommed her, she was back again at Jarl von Hoother's in the Lera Hill with her run to her Abramet. And why would she hold at all if not by the ward of his mansion Hormer of another nice lace for the 3rd charm? And Jarl von Hoother had his hurricane hips up to his pantry box, ruminating in his hold for stomachs, dare, oh dare, and the Jiminy dower trees and the dummy were beloved on the watercloth, kissing and spitting, and roguing and powing, like Neve Paltry and Neighbour Bryden in their 2nd infancy. And the Pranquin picked a blank and lit out, and the valleys lay twinkling, and she made her wittest in front of the archway of Trehump, asking, Mark the trees, why do I am a looker like 3 posse of porter peas? But that was how the skirmishes end up. For like the Campbells are coming with a forked lance of lightning, Jarl von Hoother Bonerges himself, the old terror of the dames, came hip-hop hand-to-hand out through the peculiar and dark way of his 3 shut-owned castles. in his broad yinger hat and his civic collar and his alabaster hemp and his balbriggan socks and gloves and his ladbroke breeks and his cattegat bandolier and his fur-framed penuncular cumbats like a rudyell and grubline or Angeman in his violet indignation, to the whole length of the strength of his bowman's bill. And he clapped his rude hand to his easy hitch and he ordered in his thick SPCK for her to shut up shop, dappy. And the duppy shot the shutter clap. Pecodhescuran babgrui got gole or gromgramit gund her through mathin redidilifated and they all drank free. For one man in his armor was a fat match always for any girl's undershirts, and that was the first piece of alliterative porthery in all the flamand floody flatuous world. How cursey the Tyler made a sweet unclosed to the Narwhalian capital, so for shalt thou see, Britannian B. The Pranquin was to hold her dummy ship and the Gemini's was to keep the PC wave and Van Hoother was to jit the wind up. Thus the hearsomeness of the burger felicitates the whole of the polis. O Phoenix culprit, ex Nicolo Marlo comes Michaelmust bonum, hill, rill, ones in company, billeted. Less be proud of, breast high and bestride, only for that these will not breathe upon nor Anasa nor irony in the sea crest of their saucelessness. Quo Silex, Homfrey knowns were, Fundi gentian festic knees, Liviano answer, Woken cap is on him, frowned, or de orient. He would have estrip, were it moose at hand, were it din of bottles in the far ear. Murk, his veils a darkling, with lips she lispeth to him all to time of thuch on thuch and tho on tho. She ho she heart a la, hair fluke, if he could bad twig her, impalpabant, he adheres. The sound waves of his buffeteers, they tromp him with their tromps. The wave of Rory and the wave of Husht and the wave of Hord and the wave of never heeds them her sluggers and listeltamine. Land loud by his neck-bore mistress and perpetrified in his offsprung, sabes and suckers, the moaning pipers could tell him to his fassaback. The louthly one whose lobe we are devourers of, how but for his hold halibut, or her to her pewter puff, the lip one whose libe we drink at, how before her to the wink of a windfall, our breed and washer givers, there would not be a holy spear on the town nor a vestal flout dying in the dock, nay to make plean avowals, nor a you nor a night to play cash in no vanil but by swamplight nor a too low torlo tola noddy hint to the convenience. He dug in and dug out by the skill of his tilth for himself and all belonging to him, and he sweated his crew beneath his auspice for the living, and he earned his dread, the dragon volant. And he made lauds for us and delivered us to Bill Weevil's amain, that mighty liberator, unfruchik de Uruwaku, and begad he did, our ancestor most worshipful, till he thought of a better one in his window's house with that blush mantle upon him from ear's end to ear's end. And would again could whispering grasses wake him, and may again when the fiery bird decembers, and will again if so be sooth by elder to his youngers shall be said, Have you wines for my wedding? Did you bring bride and bedding? Will you whoop for my deading is a wake? Thus guadorum, annum muck and owl. Did ye drink mead or ale? Now be aisy, good Mr. Finnemore, sir, and take your leisure like a god on pension and don't be walking abroad. Sure you would only lose yourself in Heliopolis now the way your roads in Kaplavasta are that winding thereafter the Calvary, the Northumbrian and the Fifths Barrow and Wardlings raid in the Balmore and wet your feet maybe with the foggy dews abroad, meeting some sick old bankrupt or the Cotterick's donkey with his shoe hanging, clankata chankata, or a slut snoring with an impure infant on a bench. 'Twill turn you against life, so 'twold, and the weather's that mean too. To part from Devlin is hard as Nugent knew. To leave the clean tanglesome one lushier than its neighbour in franchisable fields, but let your ghost have no grievance. You're better off, sir, where you are, promosigned in the full of your dress, blood eagle waistcoat and all. Remember, eyeing your shapes and sizes on the pillow of your barbicurals under your sycamore by the Keld water where the Tories clay will spare the varmints and have all you want, punch, gloves, flask, briquet, kerchief, ring and umbrella, the whole treasure of the pyre, in the land of souls with homin and broin berrow and polo lonan and a bucknet nosler and the ginning his khan. And we'll be coming here, the omber players, to rake your gravel and bringing you presents, won't we, Fenians? And owl isn't our spittle we'll stint you of, is it, druids? Not shabty little imagettes, penedits and agemies you buy in the sooty stores, but offerings of the field, me lidaries, that Dr. Fayety, the Madison man, taught to goodna you. Poppipaps are past thought out, and honey is the holiest thing ever was, hive, comb and earwax, the food for glory. Mind you keep the pot or your nectar cup may ye yield too light, and some goat's milk, sir, like the maid used to bring you. Your fame is spreading like Basilico's ointment since the Finton Lallas piped you overboard, and there's whole households beyond the Bothnians and they calling names after you. The men here's always talking of you sitting around on the pig's cheeks under the sacred roof tree, over the bowls of memory where every hollow holds a hallow, with a pledge till the dregs, in the salmon house, and admiring to our supershillag where the palm's wheat on high is the mark of your monument. All the toothpicks ever Iranesians chewed on are chips chipped from the battery block. If you were Bowden soiled and let down itself from the wonder of the load it was that paddy planters might pack up plenty, and when you were undone in every point for the lapse of goddesses you showed our lad as how to free was easy. The game old gun, they do be saying, Skrull, that was a plant of you, a spicer of them all. Begog, but he was, the GOG. He's dud Anjan now and we're apt to finding the sorts of his seddock but peace to his great limbs. The bud Hodge, with the last league long rest of him, while the million kindled eye of Tusker sweeps the Moylian main. There was never a warlord in Great Erins and Bretland, no, nor in all Pike County like you, they say, no, nor a king nor an ard king, bum king, sun king or hung king, that you could fell in Elm Street 12 urchins couldn't ring round and hoist high the stone that Liam failed. Who but a MacCulloch the wreaths of our fortunes and the forenamen at the funeral to compass our cause? If you was hoggle-bully itself and most thrifty like you was taken waters still, what or where was your like to lay the cable, or who was the batter could better your grace? Mac Magnus Macaulay can take you off to the pure perfection, and Lee Thirlbags Reynolds tries your shuffle and cut. But as Hopkins and Hopkins puts it, you were the Pelaginagi and a kissed a Tilly up. We calls him the journeyal Bugloffs since he went Jerusalem fring in Upshire Manor. You had a gamier cock than Pete, Jake or Martin, and your armchagus of geese stubbled for All Angels' Day. So may the priest of seven worms and scalding tabor, Papa Vestre, come never near you as your hair grows wheater beside the Liffey that's in heaven. Hep, hep, hurrah there, hero! 7 times thereto we salute you. The whole bag of kits, falcon plumes and jack boots included, is where you flung them that time. Your heart is in the system of the she-wolf, and your crested head is in the tropic of Capricorn. Your feet are in the cloister of Virgo. Your olala is in the region of Sahuls. And that's as sure as you were born. Your shuktiks swell, and that there Texas is tow linen. The lonesome roam to Lafayette is ended. Drop in your tracks, babe, be not unrested. The head bodil watcher of the Kimpel advised, to Tumcumum, saith, I know thee, Methager, I know thee, Salvation boat, for we have performed upon thee, thou abomination, who comest ever without being invoked, whose coming is unknown. All the things which the company of the precentors and of the grammarians of Christpatricks ordered concerning thee in the matter of the work of thy tombing. How of the shipmen? Steep wall. Everything's going on the same, or so it appeals to all of us, in the old homestead here. Cowings all over the sanctuary. Bad scrint to me Aunt Florenza. The horn for breakfast, one gong for lunch and dinner climb. As popular as when Belly the First was king and his members met in the Diet of Man. The same shop slop in the window, Jacob's Liturcricas and Dr. Tibble's V. Cocoa and the S-Word's dissipated soup beside Mother Seagull's syrup. Meat took a drop when Riley Parsons failed. Coal's short but with plenty of bog in the yard. And barley's up again, bear grain to it. The lads is attending school lessons regular, sir, spelling bisknees with Hathertoncy and turning out tables by multiplication. Alpha the books and never pegging smashes after Tombo Glasshouse or Timmy the Tosser. 'Tis really the truth, no isn't it, Roman Pathorix? You were the doubler jointer janitor the morning they were delivered, and you'll be a grand forget entirely when the return seizes what the Lafayette knows. Kevin's just a dote with his cherub cheek. chalking overs on walls, and his little lamp and school belt and bag of nicks, playing postman's knocked round the diggings, and if the seep were milk you could leave his oldie by his side, but, low's sake, the devil does be in that nips of a Jerry sometimes. The Tarantan played boy, making cost of income out of the last of his lavings and writing a blue streak over his Borsday shirt. Hetty Jane's a child of Mary. She'll be coming, for they are sure to choose her, in her white of gold with a torch of ivy to rekindle the flame on Felix Day. But Essie Shanahan has let down her skirts. You remember Essie in our Luna's convent. They called her Holly Mary. Her lips were so Rudderberry and Peardy Pure Bell when the Redminers riots was on about her. Were I a clerk designate to the Williams Woods manufacturers, I'd poster those powders on every jam in the town. She's making her rep at Lanner's twissenightly, with the tambourine tamtamas of the whirligigamidgies. Beats that could chooch a flat, 'twill dilate your heart and go. Aisy now, you decent man, with your knees, and lie quiet and repose your honour's lordship. Hold him here, Ezekiel Irons, and may God strengthen you. It's our warm spirits, those, he's sporying. Demetrius O'Flanagan, cork that cure for the Clancuties. You swamped enough since Portobello to float the Gomeroy. Fetchny here, Pat Cloy, and fetch new you, Pam Yates. Be nae the angst of Ramoich. Here's Lumbus, where Misty's Swadlam, where Mistress Lot none, where Mystery's Port Kindon. Oh sleepy, so be it. I've an eye on Queer Behan and old Kate and the butter, trust me. She'll do no juggler wiggly with her war souvenir postcards to help to build me Muriel. Tuppers, I'll trip your traps. Ashore there. And we put on your clock again, sir, for you. Did or didn't we? She rested us. So you won't be up a stump entirely, nor shed your remnants. The stern wheel's crawling strong. I seen your missus in the hall, like the Queen of Air. Ara, it's herself that's fine, too. Don't be talking, Shirksons. You Storian Harry Chap Longamy Harry Chap Storian Grasswoman Plelthy Good Trout. Shakashans. Double the hayfex wrong with her, only her Lexus Salag. Bold Tib does be yawning and smirking cat's eyes on the pollocks as woolly round to burret cushion watching her sewing a dream together. The tailor's daughter, stitched to her last, all while waiting for winter to fire the enchantment, decoying more nesters to fall down the flue. It's a l'avalanche that blows nopossy food. If you only were there to explain the meaning, best of men, and talk to her nice of gold and silver, the lips would moisten once again, as when you drove with her to Findrinny Fair. What with reins here and ribbons there, all your hands were employed, so she never knew was she on land or at sea, or swooped through the blue like air Wienger's bride. She was flirtsome then, and she's fluttersome yet. She can second a song and adores the scandal when the last post's gone by. fond of a concertina and pears passing when she's had her 40 winks for supper after canna cannon and Abbey dimpling and is in her Merlin chair assotted, reading her Evening World, to see is it smarts, full lengths or swaggers, news, all the news, death, a leopard, kills fella in Fez, angry scenes at Stormount, still a star with her lucky in going aways, opportunity fair with the China floods and we hear these rosy rumors, ding tamsy noise about all same Harry chatter, she's seeking her way, a chuckle, in and out of their serial story, Lelups of Selskaret Pervench, freely adapted to the Novigins Viv. There'll be bluebells blowing in salty sepulchres the night she signs her final tear. The end. But that's a world of ways away. Till track law's time. No silver ash or switches for that one. While flattering candles flare. Anastasies, how are you? Were the waste in the noblest, says Adams and Sons, the world pay actioneers. Her hair's as brown as ever it was, and wavy and wavy, repose you now, Finn no more. For be that salmon sake substitute of a hooky salmon, there's already a big roady ram lad at random on the premises of his haunt of the hungered bordels, as it is told me. Shoppill is it, flourishing like a lord major or a buabo babum, litting flop a deadlop, a loss, to leave but lifting a bend branch a yard along. Ivo, the breezy side, for sham, the height of brew, stairs chimney and as broad below as Phineas Barnum, humphying his share of the chauffeurs is sanken on him he's such a grand fella, with a pocked wife in pickle that's a fire and 3 lice nittle clinkers, 2 twilling bubs and 1 midget pucelle. And either he cursed and recursed and was ever seen doing what your forefooters saw, or he was never done seeing what you cool pigeons know. Weep the clouds a boon for Smiller down witnesses. And that'll do now about the Pharaohs and the Frailishes. OS at Fiblet to the Zephyrith and arts zoom it round her heavens forever. Creator he has created for his creatured ones a creation. White monothoid, red thetrocrat, and all the pink prophets cohalithing. Very much so. But however 'twas 'tis sure for one thing. What Sharif Torag vouchers and Mapkit makes put out, that the man, the cheatner, ESC, overseen as we thought him, yet a worthy of the name, came at this time coloured place where we live in our parochial firmament one tide on another, with a bum rush in a hull of a wherry, the twin turbine down, the bay for Dibling, this archipelago's first visiting schooner, with a Wicklow pattern waxen wench at her prow for a figurehead, the Dead Sea dugong up dip dripping from his depths, and has been repreaching himself like a fisherman of these 6 to 10 years ever since, his shebe by his side, Addy and Aid, growing whorish under his turban and changing cane sugar into cellulose starch, Tutut says to him, as also that, baiting the bulky hood he bloats about when inebriated, Our old offender was humile, commune and insectuous from his nature, which you may gauge after the bynames was put under him, in lashons of languages, honin suit and praises be, and, totalisating him, even hamissim of himashim that he, sober serious, he is in no counter he who will be ultimately responsible for the hubbub caused in Edinburgh.